All right, what's up, guys? So had an arm day today. Before I tell you how awesome and exciting the arm day was, go ahead and hit that like, hit that subscribe button, and do that whole YouTube thing so I can pump this channel up. One more. Stick with it. Smooth. Hard squeeze. Stick with it. Stick with it. There. Had an arm day today, which is the most exciting / boring day because the training of arms is boring, but an arm pump is exciting. So it is what it is. But I had today was Ben and Taylor in town. They're going to be in town for a couple months, and so going through an arm day. And even though it's mildly tedious, it's still obviously a very important day if you want big arms, and it's especially an important day if you want to be a good competitive bodybuilder, which is Ben's goal. So we had a lot of single arm stuff. So you guys have seen some of my stuff for a while, and that's really the big thing is the longer you've been training, the longer you've been working with people at a high level, you'll find out that elbows can tend to be an issue for a lot of people, especially people with bigger structures. And again, it's just kind of a matter of semantics, the way a lot of the best kind of big compound movements work when you're trying to isolate triceps. So basically like skull crushers, curls with fixed bars can just kind of eat some elbows over time. And so you'll see when we start with isolation, so when we start with isolating just the elbow joint for triceps and biceps, it's almost always single arm stuff because that just lines up the best with the joint. I don't enjoy that. I would rather just do skull crushers and straight bar curls. One, because it doesn't take as long, and two, it's just easier to just set up and go. But I like having intact elbows slightly more than I like just having quicker, easier, more enjoyable warm-ups. So that's why you'll see single arm triceps doing cables a lot. And again, that just works out very well just for alignment. So the two things I want you to do So just get a little bit over top of it.
Okay.
So obviously it doesn't matter at all with this weight, but obviously as you're getting to the point where trying to stay up right here and hopefully having a significant amount of weight, it's going to become more of a shoulder thing, center of mass thing. So just get over it. And just as this isn't a have to do thing, but I actually like sometimes to let my upper arm move almost more like kind of like a reverse drag curl or whatever you want to call it, where I'm trying to keep the cable pretty close to my shoulder joint. And the same thing, especially when loads get heavier, try and keep your shoulder out of it. So if the cable obviously is closer to the shoulder joint, it's still going to be farther away from the elbow. So it's still a lot of torque at the elbow, but much less at the shoulder.
I see.
So basically when I'm bringing up the eccentric, I'm kind of pushing my elbow back.
Got it.
And then honestly, some of it's just like that kind of just bothers me. Yeah. So I'll just keep it like right there, you know, and obviously find your comfy spot. And then single arm preacher curls. Basically have some variation of those two in always. As far as which variation for triceps, I always just kind of say go for personal preference. I mean, the beauty of it is if you can line it up right, you can make it so it's heavier through this mid-range and then a little bit lighter as you get to full extension. And then as long as it lines up, there's a whole bunch of different variations. So you'll see I'm doing one, I'm a little bit more over top of it. You could do both at the same time cross. You'll see Ben's doing one kind of across his body at some point in time. All great options. Kind of find what feels like it fits the best for you, feels the best on the elbows. And then once you have something that lines up well, lines up well with the elbows, feels good with the elbows, run it into the ground. So same as anything else is you still have to progress it. You just can't do 30 pounds for your entire life and squeeze really, really hard. Form, of course, is important. Feeling the muscle is important. But at some point in time, you still have to be able to progress it. Obviously load, progressing reps, and even to a point volume for some people might be a good option as well too. And like I was saying, preachers, always some variation. We've had dumbbell preachers, and honestly, we had inconsistently for a couple of years. We've recently switched to a machine. And it's definitely one of those things where one's not at all better than the other. They're just almost completely equal swaps to a certain extent. Set up properly, they both have good profiles. They both brace great. That's the whole point of the upper arm pad. So you can kind of take some shoulder stuff out of it, have more of that load going to the bicep. And they both have very good profiles. One of the ones that works out where a dumbbell set up right has a very good profile. And so does that Prime machine is a very nice option for curls as well too. And then kind of getting into stuff where you can kind of go both arms at the same time. So in my opinion, more compound stuff for triceps can actually be more joint friendly. So close grip press variations, dip variations, and the one that we're doing is basically a JM press variation. I've done that one a whole lot. Still probably my favorite tricep movement now, where again, it's actually a little bit tricky to get set up as far as what kind of arm path. Do you have to be more tucked in, more flared out? How do you get your hands on? Some people really can't pronate that far, so it's a little tough sometimes to get on the bar. So you see us doing false grips, sometimes the bar at an angle across the hands. Again, that's all just kind of semantics based off of our structure and how we have to fit into that machine. But once you find that spot, it actually does line up pretty well to keep your upper arm path and your whole upper and lower arm path kind of right perpendicular to the ground. And then from there, you'll see I like the Smith too, because obviously sometimes with that kind of false-ish grip, you don't have quite as good of a hold of the bar, where again, if I had a free bar, I would actually be a little bit, concerned about dropping it on my face. So one, it's a little bit easier when it's not having to manage it going back and forward to just kind of hold it in the hand position there. And then also I can set the safeties at the bottom. You'll see too, I have them basically catching right as I'm in the bottom of the range of motion. And then bands as well too. So again, that's a very stacky type motion. As far as the elbow at the bottom is far away from that plane of the bar path. And then as it comes to the top, it gets basically right in line with it. So as that stacking occurs, that's a great place to properly set up accommodating resistance. So you'll see some bands tucked on the side there. And so that one's going to be in there for a while. And then doing 2-arm kind of hammer cable curls. And again, just a little difference with the cables as opposed to dumbbells is it's just easier to line up. So again, because the upper arms kind of tend to flare out, if you're a slightly larger human, it's easier to have cables going kind of out of that direction and line up better. Again, not a huge deal to be doing dumbbells. You just kind of have to jam it in a little bit tighter. And again, it's all individual dependent. For a normal person or someone that trains kind of at an intermediate level, is it that big of a deal if stuff doesn't line up perfect? No, probably not. And especially if you're someone that basically trains once or twice a week and does a set of curls here and there, then probably couldn't matter less. I would just go with what's quicker and easier. But again, with my demographic, it's people that do a lot of volume, a lot of isolation work. Obviously don't want their arms looking normal. They want them looking abnormal relative to the rest of society. So again, with that much stuff, that much volume, that much intensity over a really long duration of time, in my opinion, it's the argument for being very, very specific with exercise selection. Then you'll see we do some pump stuff. We see a rope press down variation where basically 3 different positions, where the whole goal of that one is just overloading different points of elbow extension without having to change the weight. So it's kind of a mechanical drop set. And again, within that context, done properly, It's horrible and painful, and it's a lot of contractions in a short period of time. And so if you're new here, I like to prioritize my more load-based stuff first, and then do some metabolic if you're fancy, pump work if you're normal, kind of towards the end. And again, there's a very large sciencey argument for all of that. As long as you're still training close to failure, which we are on everything, to show that it doesn't have to be super duper heavy, and if it's the end of your workout, can't be heavy anyway, for them to still be effective reps. And there's a lot of meathead evidence that says chasing a pump, getting as pumped as you can is a very good thing as well too. And so all types of evidence that actually lead to results are important. So for both those reasons, I like to finish with some nasty pump stuff. And you'll see same thing with a curl variation, going from a pronated grip reverse curl to a supinated curl. Again, it's technically a mechanical drop set because you're keeping the same weight, but you're going from a weaker position to a stronger position, and then just going to a stretch position with the incline curls. Again, just a great place, in my opinion, to finish with a pump. So that's the workout. Working sets, probably 2 to 3 working sets on all the isolated stuff, and then we just did 2 rounds through of that pump work. So again, context on this as well too. The whole workout of the first 4 exercises probably took around an hour, and running through 2 rounds of that pump stuff probably took 10 minutes. So again, our workout was somewhere between an hour and 15 minutes, maybe a little bit longer than that, with some chit-chatting in there. And honestly, we had 3 guys doing arms, which is a lot for doing arms. So just moving a little bit slower, especially doing single arm stuff. And then finished with a couple rounds of calves. And that was the day. So that's as exciting as an arm day is going to get. But again, if you've got some elbow issues or you don't have elbow issues and you want to keep it that way, I think this whole workout would be a very good option for anyone to, again, kind of make your own, fit the elbows, and get some big-ass arms. So hope you guys enjoyed. And until the next one, do not forget, again, like, subscribe, tell some friends. Hey, man, they tell you inside sometimes.
8 weeks out.
Core turn.
The infamous calf muscle. Yeah.
Me? Core turn. And core turn.
You look a lot better than even right before the show, like just
Thank you.
holding wise. I feel like you were just worn out.
Let's go side chest. Side tricep. And let's go rear double bicep. Rear lat square. Front double bicep. And front lat spread. Abs done. Most muscular. I think it looks pretty good. I mean, the only things that I would say to open, I think you can open up more. I mean, so when you're coming into it, I would just say, so with all of your stuff, obviously set your legs, and then as you transition, like focus on just getting your scapula as far apart as possible.
Okay.
So it's, if anything, there might be a little bit of protraction in there, but you just kind of look like, it's even the joke like the old Arnold thing where it's like, open up, show them, like you're just kind of going like this, instead of like kind of just let the shoulder blades really pull apart, feel like you're driving your elbows as wide as you can, and then kind of open it up. And like once you're in this position, a little bit more open, so like if my shoulder blades are together at all, or down at all, like that's the difference from here and here. I mean, that for sure you want to open up, it'll show the lats a little bit more, but then you can kind of tweak stuff from there. I don't know, let's just see how that looks. I think that looks a little better. And so that's like an expansion pose, right? Because it's like, obviously there's some stuff that still will be contracted hard, but some of it's just like how, you know, big and impressive can I make everything look up here? How small can I make my waist? And obviously the quads have the same effect on the bottom. So that's the thing I would just think about is like really just opening up on that one. And again, most of it comes from like this kind of stuff you can mess around. I was expecting, you look like you're in a good rib cage position, because some guys obviously do like this, you know, and obviously if you do this too much, then it's like the bottom of your pecs are looking at the judges. But so I think like your posture still look good. I would just open up those shoulder blades more, like really reach those elbows out and get wide, and then you'll get those lower lats popping.
Do you think the second half position looked better?
Show them again. I mean, honestly, that's all that stuff. Like, you'll have every different guy like fight, like pros argue about do you like it better contracted, do you like it better slightly vacuum. I always like it better not contracted personally, but it's all personal preference in my opinion.
Well, when you contracted that, it brought that
That will
forward.
go down a little bit, yeah. So that's, I mean, obviously that's the thing, because in my brain, I never liked it as much because I think it takes away from being an expansion pose.
Yes.
But I see where it makes more sense because a lot of the guys that I know like the contracted are mass monsters. And so they're not really concerned about taking up space. They're more concerned about showing that they're conditioned in every single pose. So that's kind of, but in my opinion, it's completely 50-50 split amongst pros of how you hit that pose. I personally prefer when you're a little bit slightly vacuumed and not crunched down. But
That's what
Terrence, what did you think on that?
Just
show my hit both, just show them. And then you do tweaks obviously.
Yeah, I think that would probably be best. Don't you normally hit it like the first way?
Yeah, normally.
Well, if you don't like it that way, then yeah, it's a little bit simpler for me.
Yeah.
Conditioning, yeah, pose. Oh yeah, I got you, yeah. Yeah, and so I say the two good things that you can do is one, just set as many times as you can where it's the same the way that you'd schedule your lifting, you know, your meals and all that, set times to do it. And because the easiest time really to do it will be first thing in the morning because you have the least amount of stuff in your stomach, which is good that you actually do it then. But if you think about like it's good to do it post training because post training you should have a couple meals in, you're already a little bit fatigued and you've got a lot of liquid in. So that's basically when you're gonna have the heaviest loads working your midsection training. You know, so I would really make good habits of just doing it at various amounts of stomach capacity. And the things you can start doing is literally just work on transition. So it's the second you walk out on stage, really work on walking out to stage, position you're in before front relax, your front relax, and then work on all of your transitions. So everything where you're squared on from the front, look at your obliques, and everything where you're turned it off from the side, look at the part of your abdomen below your belly button.
Okay.
And so that'd be the biggest thing on that as well too, because you'll see that guys have pretty good control sometimes of the upper abdomen, but it's the space below your belly button that will really have the biggest impact on your physique.
Okay.
Let's just run you through quarter turns a couple of times.
Okay.
So just hit the front, so start to get used to just having it tight. And do that again, some little stuff. So even let's do like you're walking out, walk in front, don't let it relax. So again, literally just walk into position like they're calling out. Keep it tight. As you turn, even a little bit tighter. Now set your legs really hard first. So the legs are split, whatever level of conditioning you're gonna show is hit first, then pull those obliques in even a little bit tighter. And then just hold it. Let's hold it for 10 seconds, keep it nice and tight. Keep that breathing nice and shallow. 7, 6, 5, 4, pull it a little bit tighter, pull it a little bit tighter. 3, 2, 1. Don't let it off too much, quarter turn. That's good. Keep it right there, that's the spot. Look at yourself in the mirror now, just for now, pulling below the belly button, just pull it right there, hold. Hold, keep it tight, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, good. As you turn, don't let the obliques relax too much, keep them a little bit tighter there. Yep. That will move off. And quarter turn, keep the abs and obliques tight here. Relax on that one, start from the beginning. So on this, one little thing I'll say is, you should have your lower abdomen in a good spot as you turn.
Okay.
And then as you set the pose, contract harder. So you turn, and so you're already, in a pretty good spot as you turn, not too tight. And then as you set it, that should move in.
Okay.
So for me, that's the gauge that I look at to see if someone's actually trained their posing. The 6 or 7 out of 10 should already be in a good spot. And then when you set the pose, all this goes, and that goes and pulls in a little bit tighter. And the thing on that too is the reason not to have it turned at a 10 out of 10 is if you're too tight before you start to turn, you'll limit your ability to rotate.
Yes.
So you go 6 out of 10 as you turn as far as you can, and then 10 out of 10 contraction as you set the pose.